सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। As Bhagavan starts addressing different issues that Arjuna had, which he explicitly expressed in the first chapter, one by one, Bhagavan is looking into each theme of logic that Arjuna has presented. One such was the death as such as an aspect. After that, the very fulfillment of the responsibility for the sake of fulfilling the responsibility, which happened to be on the battlefield for Arjuna, and therefore, what are the pros and cons of that particular responsibility that which Arjuna had to fulfill? If he fulfills, what does he gain? If he does not fulfill, what does he gain? Or what does he lose? Both aspects very logically was approached. In the last shloka, where we concluded yesterday, Sukha Dukhe Same Krutva Labha Labhau Jaya Jayau Tato Yuddhaya Yujyasva. In this particular shloka, Bhagavan has now switched the gears. He's changed the topic. He's talking about the mental attitude that is required while fulfilling the responsibilities. Now, when the mindset is set to this particular shloka as given in the 38th one, when you participate with this kind of an attitude, na evam papam avapsyasi, you shall not gain any kind of papa, because of the attitude with which you are functioning. The intention behind the intensity of the act being performed is the key aspect. From the externality, the act may look similar, which is what we do a huge mistake in comparative analysis. I also go to the same kind of job. I also do the same kind of job. I also spend that many hours. I have also given that much of toiled for it. But what is the intensity? What is the intention behind that intensity? See, in the Western psychology, the aspect of inspiration, it is often understood as a chanced expression of the situation that it has unfolded, that it has brought that inspired expression, whether it is in music, art, dance, or various other expressions. Whether it is a Bach or a Mozart or Da Vinci, Leonardo, all these different exuberant expressions, their inspiration is a chanced environment that it happened to be that inspiration outflowed. But the rishis, found that to find that inspiration is not to be left on chance. It is something that can be prepared. It is something that can be geared towards to live every moment filled with inspiration. And the aspect that is important is that the head and the heart should synchronize. Wherever the head and heart has synchronized, the thought is inspired. And when the thought, word and deed are in synchrony, that expression in every single attempt expresses forth the exuberating expression of that inspiration. So there are two synchronizations that have to be done. One, that the intellect and the mind have to be in sync. Once the intellect and the mind are in sync, usually what happens? The intellect is prompting towards that which is correct. The first thought on any kind of situation, the poor fellow, the intellect, gives a very good direction. But it is overpowered by the habits of the mind. It is completely overridden. The intellect, poor fellow, decides, tomorrow I have to wake up, start the day early, and I have to start with some exercise, then go into the puja room, disturb Bhagwan, and then get into the various other activities. When morning comes, the intellect is telling, beta, put jao. And what does the mind say? Chup! This is the best time of the sleep. Don't you see that the bed is warm? The quilt is warm. 2 more minutes. And that 2 more minutes, we know how it ends. What overrides, what overpowers? It is the mind because of its own addiction to the habits. Meaning the mind and the intellect are not in sync. One is trying to guide in the correct and the other is trying to pull towards the conveniences, that which is easy. Right there is a friction. What does, yesterday we also saw that Papa yields to Tapa. What is the literal translation of Tapa? Tapa means heat. Where is this heat generated from? Wherever there is friction, two opposite sides not in sync, that is where there is the heat generated. That is the Tapa. And in order to overpower this heat, one has to bear that Tapa and change the sequence so that it is in sync. And that effort is called tapasya. That through which this Tapa is controlled and channelized to a higher direction. The mind and the buddhi has to be in sync. Once the mind and buddhi is in sync, the thought is properly ordained. Once the thought is ordained, the word and the act should be in sync. That is when it is called Trikarana Shuddhi. Otherwise, we think one thing, say one thing, and do completely different. You are planning to go out somewhere. Just then, a friend of yours dropped by. As that friend of yours drops in, your immediate inside is speaking, ये अब क्यों आ टपका? Inside, there is a different dialogue happening. But the outside expression, Arre, long time no see. Ow. Did I disturb you? Did I catch you at a bad time? Were you going on? नहीं, वो तो होता रहेगा. Ow. Inside you are cringing. Outside your expression is different. One day, I went to somebody's house. There is an outside room where you meet people, and there is an inside living room. So, not to take any chances on the outside itself, I was about to sit. So, the younger son in their family, he catches hold of my hand and pulls me to the inside living room and says, that is not for people like you. Those seats are meant for those people that which we want them to go out immediately, because the seats are not comfortable. The act becomes completely contradicting. Wherever the head and the heart merge to lift oneself up, inspiration flows. There are other supporting aspects as we come through the next slokas. We will add to that. How to maintain this inspiration constantly lit. Now here, I would again introduce three different words. Instigation, motivation, and inspiration. All these three are a prompt which makes us do something different. Usually I keep doing in one pattern. When instigated, when motivated or inspired, I do something different. Instigation is often used in terms of something which is ill-favored. So in the court of law, those who have committed the crime versus the one that has instigated them to commit the crime, the one who has instigated stands to get penalized higher, because the origin of it starts from there. So instigating others to create a right, instigating others to speak up against the discipline. So instigating. Then comes the motivating. When we were young, we used to say, what is motivating? Somebody fat waiting at the bus stand. Motivating. Jokes apart, motivating is that aspect wherein temporarily there is that enthused environment to do something good, but as soon as I am away from that environment, the effect completely dwindles and I end up not succeeding in completing anything. These are the people that keep searching. Where can I come to charge myself so that I feel enthused? Day before yesterday, I met a gentleman and he was saying, this is so good, Swamiji. Monthly, 1 week, we come to charge ourselves so that we can go out and get discharged. And again come back monthly once. I was almost about to say, like a petrol bunk hai, ya charging station hai. Motivation is always something from the outside which keeps the enthusiasm, but that enthusiasm doesn't get sustained. Inspiration is that which is born from inside, sustained inside. And one of the key factors that our ancient rishis have realized, to constantly stay inspired. Why does one have to stay constantly inspired? Because about 95-98% of life, the entire pattern of what we live, what we do, what we say, what we think is constantly on a repetitive motion. Monday through Saturday, we have one pattern. And because we have worked hard for 6 days, Sunday there is a different pattern. On long weekends, there is a completely different pattern. But nonetheless, when we look at it consolidatingly, we find that most of our experiences are on a repeat mode. You chalk out in your head and try to see, from morning waking up, the struggle of morning wake up, to the early morning coffee, till the late night, the pattern looks entirely the same. Now, when you have to repeat constantly again and again the same pattern, we feel either bored or burnt. Therefore, we want to do something hatke, something different, so that that boredom is shaken up. Something different. But our rishis have found that wherever the head and heart are in sync, there is one channelized thought pattern, and that channelized thought pattern is in sync with, the thought is in sync with the word and the deed. Sukha dukhe same krutva labha labhau jaya jayau tatho yuddhaya yujyasva. Now, with this attitude, when you constantly perform the action for the sake of the fulfillment of that responsibility, na evam papam avapsyasi. Such inspired one, though indulging or working out in the outside vyavahara, they do not incur sin, because they are in sync. Absence of that sync, the sea drops. What remains? Sin remains. So all that you have to do is add that sea. Add that clarity into life. See. Now, having said this, he further takes it into this particular Karma Yoga Siddhanta being introduced. He says, Yesha te bhihita sankhye buddhir yoge tvimam shrunu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. Esha te abhihita sankhye. This particular wisdom, that which I am going to enumerate, was earlier discussed, given. See, that is the beauty of our entire volume of Shastra. Nobody starts claiming that I am the author, I am the one who has initiated this wisdom. There is no scope for plagiarism. The attribute is always given to from where this thought has originated. Give them full due credit. It says this Siddhanta was given by Kapila Mahamuni to his mother, Devahuti. And this logical reasoning that is being given is called Sankhya. Eshate Abhihita Sankhya. That which is known, well known as Sankhya Yoga. Bhagavan doesn't seem to be describing what that Sankhya Yoga is, because he understands that Arjuna is not a novice. He has gone through the Gurukula. He has heard, he has learnt from his Guru Dronacharya the basics of Vedanta Siddhanta, that there was this great Rishi called Kapila, and he gave this knowledge to his mother Devahuti, and this knowledge was known as Sankhya Yoga. Arjuna, if you remember, this is that very Sankhya. That which you have already heard about, already learnt about. I am not giving you something very new out of the box. This is something that which has been practiced, that which has been very successful, and therefore it is being prescribed. Whenever we hear Puja Gurudev or people talking about him, especially when the families have had the opportunity to invite Puja Gurudev to their house for Bhiksha, each one has a claim. The Andhra fellow thinks that Gurudev loved avakaya pickle. The Maharashtrian thinks that Gurudev loved Puran Poli. The Gujaratis think that Gurudev loved Shrikhand. See, on the day when there was a commemorative coin released on the centenary celebration of Gurudev's centenary birthday, Modi ji, what did he say? I remember that when I met him and there was some Bhiksha happening, he loved Shrikhand. Gujarati thinks that he loved Shrikhand. Malayali thinks that he loved Sadhya. Sadhya is not one dish. It's a combination of 3-course meal, which is usually given during the festivities, like Onam. And a Punjabi thinks Gurudev loved lassi, malai wala lassi. It's very rare few who understand what was the technology here. Gurudev said, the best way to survive through bhikshas is to ask for that which they are good at. You don't want to expose yourself to experiments. When you are in north, you should not ask for idli. It will be like a cork ball. When you are in south, you should not ask for dhokla. You should ask that which they are good at. Now, if somebody were to say, Swamiji, I have this new recipe. I have learned it and I am cooking it for you for the first time. I have red flags all over my head. I immediately say, Amma, I forgot to tell you, today is my upavasa. For the sanity of my own health, that day, no food. Bach ke raho. Why? They themselves have confessed. It is the very first time they are cooking, and I happen to be their guinea pig. I happen to be their first experiment. And people really insist, I said, first experimented on your family, and upon the success and acceptance of your family, then experiment on me. See, whenever something new is brought in, you don't know how it will affect or don't. I have gotten to this wisdom after severe burn. One day I had to go for some, the next day there was supposed to be a YUP first batch. I had to fly to California ashram where the YUP batch had to be. And this Amma brought in, and she did not reveal that that was her first experiment. She served. And she said, try identifying what it is. After 2 spoons of eating, because it started itching in my throat, I said, is this some kind of a root? He said, yes. Then I said, is this taro root? Taro root is chamagadda. This Amma had made a sweet out of the taro root. After the second spoon, I stopped. Thankfully, I stopped. Next 3 days, the inauguration of YUP course, I was like this kind of voice because it had already impacted my voice. Why? She had experimented on me. So wherever something new is being experimented, you become cautious. So here, Bhagavan is trying to impress on Arjuna. Arjuna, this is not something that I am trying to inspire you so that you can go get into the battlefield. It is a time-tested recipe. It is that which was given by Kapila Mahamuni to Devahuti way back then, and it has been experimented, it has seen its successes, and therefore I am prescribing this to you because it is the most appropriate Siddhanta to be applied in the field of karma. Esha te vihita sankhye buddhir yoge tvimam shrunu. The wisdom of this Sankhya Yoga, listen. Buddhya yukto yaya partha. Once you are yoked with this Siddhanta in your buddhi with clarity, karma bandham prahasyasi. By applying this Siddhanta, the karma bandha is once and for all broken apart. Another meaning, it is a derivative meaning, but I liked it. Buddhya yukta. Everybody is born with buddhi. That buddhi is not yukta. We are not connected with that buddhi. That is why when we do something wrong, what would our elders scold? Usually the scolding is, दिमाग घास चरने गया था. Your buddhi is gone to graze or what? Why? All that which you have done looks very clearly that you have done this devoid of any buddhi involvement. Buddhi is there, but we are disconnected with it. Buddhya yuktya, connected fighting back with that buddhi, strengthening that buddhi. When we perform in the field of action with this strengthened buddhi, strengthened understanding, we shall break the karma bandha. What is karma bandha? A key word introduced in this particular shloka. Each one of us is as though addicted to certain patterns of karma through which each one of us gets little joy through various aspects of themes of karma. And if that pattern of karma gets disturbed, the whole day gets ruined. Isn't it? Right early in the morning, if something of your pattern gets knocked off the sequence, the whole day you will be fuming about it. What happened? I told my husband that while he's coming back from job, he should get coffee powder. And yesterday when he came back from office, and these days we should not complain, because anything, you have 10-minute delivery. Except for mother and father, you can get delivered everything. सब कुछ बिकता है, सब कुछ 10 मिनट में. He forgot bringing that coffee. I did not have my fresh cup of coffee. And therefore, the day starts completely in agitation. And that agitation is not restricted to that particular field, that experience. We take that agitation, contaminating it into the next experiences, and it becomes a domino effect. We used to say, when we were in school, every day it is the same class teacher that opens our morning. First class, first period. And that day when in the morning, we all wish the teacher right in the morning, the sing song, good morning. And instead of responding back, she barks back at us. Good morning, sit up. Then we all look at each other. And this was the understanding. भैया आज संभल के रहना, घर से झगड़ के आइए. And that which has that agitation from a different scenario, different environment, the completely different experience, but that is not snapped out of. It is brought to next set of experiences, contaminating the next experience. Each one of us are addicted to these patterns. What is the source of these patterns? Are our set of tendencies and inclinations. These are in Sanskritam known as vasana. When we say vasana, the word vasana itself is not a bad word. Vasana can also mean smell. Durvasana, bad smell. Suvasana, good smell. Similarly, the patterns of these tendencies, some are called Durvasana, bad tendencies, Suvasana, good tendencies. Bhagavad Vichara, sadvasana. Shastra vichara, sadvasana. Satkarma, sadvasana. So there are good and there are bad. So constantly there is a battle, another layer of rupture between the good vasanas and the bad vasanas. Sadly, when you look at the count of this good vasanas and bad vasanas are like Kauravas. 101 bad vasanas. Good vasanas like Pandavas. 5. There's constant battle happening. Dharma kshetre, kurukshetre, samavetayu yutsava, mamakah pandavaschaiva, good vasana, bad vasana cha. Dishum, dishum. Constantly there is a struggle inside. Another layer of tapa generated. Buddhi and manas not in sync, tapa. Mana, vak and karma not in sync, another layer of tapa. Sadvasana and durvasana, another layer of tapa. Constantly tapofied inside. Constantly it is like a pressure cooker under pressure. कब फटेगा पता नहीं. When the top will blow, nobody knows. Everybody that is functioning around us have to walk on eggshells. Very careful. What you say, what you don't say, what you behave, what you don't behave, there is absolutely cluelessness as to what can agitate that person. Stuck in this patterns of vasana and karma, thereby the vasana and karma becomes bandha, a limitation, that which binds us. All these bondages you can be liberated from if you practice this karma yoga implicitly. That is the beauty of this karma yoga. Karma bandham prahasyasi. Now continuing the 40th shloka. Neha bhikramana shosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Whenever, and I'm giving a couple of minutes because everybody is busy trying to read the meaning. पढ़ लीजिए. हो गया? अब मैं बोलूं? Whenever there is, say, a medicine, a medicine is given with a prescription. Morning, afternoon gap 0, evening 1 tablet. X0X. Prescription is given. If you miss a day, it can have adverse effect. The medicine that is supposed to cure may not cure. This is one kind of pratyavaya dosha. The second is, If you take the entire medication in one shot, that also will have pratyavaya dosha. It will create inconvenient situations. That which is supposed to cure will yield adverse effects. Whenever we talk about the field of karma, the field of karma is ordained by karma kanda. And in that karma kanda, there is a severe, huge list of do's and don'ts. When you go through the Grahya Sutras, in the Grahya Sutra, there is a clear understanding as to how one should create the Yajna Kunda, the Havan Kunda. How many bricks have to be laid? Even in Kathopanishad, there is a reference to this. The number of Ya Ishtaka, Ya Purtika Cha. Ishtika, eat. Ishtika. In Sanskritam, the brick is called. How many bricks? What sequence that they have to be organized? How much should be the depth? What kind of wood has to be used? And whenever this yajna or such programs are organized, samashti, people are inherently pyromaniacs. Aag dikha. They'll keep throwing things in it. You cannot keep throwing things in it. There is a sequence to the process. After the mantra is chanted, Rudra Yaswaha Idam Namama, at that point you have to offer. Whenever the oblations have to be offered, it is the mantra that has to be. And if you would look into the Mundaka Upanishad, there, even what kind of flame, what offerings have to be given is specified. Kali, Karali, Manojavacha, there are 7 different kinds of flames that are described. And in which flame, with what mantra, what kind of oblations have to be offered is specified. If the sequence is not followed, one thing, directly you will not get the result intended through that particular yaga or homa. Sometimes, instead of yielding the phala, it becomes viphala. Contrary to what you have started it, because you have not followed certain sequence, it can yield completely different result. When you do very serious sadhanas like Shri Chakra, Yantra, and such puja sadhana, those who are getting the puja done, they specify. You have to do it meticulously as described. So people are scared. Devi puja, Bapre. Why? Pratyavaya dosha is high. So somebody came and said, Swamiji, this is what this Mahatma ji has written about Devi puja. What should I do? Should I be doing it or not? Then I showed the same Mahatmas, the same literature in a later portion. When you do it as Sakama Puja, fulfillment of certain desire, then you better be meticulous about it. Otherwise, you can have pratyavaya dosha. But if you do it with nishkama bhavana, as you are invoking your own mother, has ever mother done any harm to her own child? You do it as a sadhana, you do it as a upasana with nishkama bhavana, you don't have to be fearful. But if you're doing it with certain sakama bhavana, then you better be following the meticulous directives that are given. You cannot skip. And most of us, when we do our puja, every step it is skip. Daily when we do puja, if you are doing puja, every step, asanam samarpayami, and what is the mantra for that? Ratna khachita heva simhasanam samarpayami. Heva simhasanam, golden throne. And how is that golden throne? Intricately carved, embedded with ratna khachita, with precious stones. And Bhagavan is also looking. Arey, ratna khachita heva simhasana. Ka? And then immediately, there's an alternative. Tadarthe akshatan samarpayami. Almost every step is a skip. Those who do Sandhya Vandana, you, at least the Pratara Sandhya, when it is to be done, you have to be getting up before the sun rises, freshen up, take a bath, and do your Sandhya Vandana, give that Arghya to Bhagavan before sunrise. But then, that which is given as pratyamnaya, alternative, if ever you miss, that becomes the norm. Every day wake up after the sun rises and then give one extra arghya, saying, Bhagavan, थोड़ा सा लेट हो गया आज, extra arghya. That is a pratyamnaya, an alternative given if you miss. You cannot make the missing as the norm. All these prescriptions are given in the path of sakama upasana. If you do according to what it is said, you should be able to receive the benefit of that upasana right then and there. But if you miss, if you don't do as it has been ordained, pratyavayaha vidyate. Sin of omission and sin of commission will bind you. If this much is understood as a backdrop, now from this understanding, Bhagavan is trying to guarantee Arjuna. Unlike the karma kanda, especially the sakama upasana, here in this karma yoga siddhanta, you will not have pratyavaya dosha. Because you have missed a little here and there, maybe by following it, maybe I will incur more adverse situation than where I started from. That dosha will not be there. Pratyavayaha na vidyate. Sorry. Pratyavayaha na vidyate. Na iha abhikramanashaha eva asti. And if you have put that effort, there is never ever a moment wherein your efforts will not yield the result. Pata nahi samajh. I do things so sincerely, nothing seems to go my way. When you are writing an email, inadvertently. See, there is Sarvagananda, Sarveshananda. There are so many Sarvas as Ananda. Sarveshwarananda. And when you're typing, it pops up. In your own hubbub, you click. You intended sending to one person, but it can reach somebody else. Has it happened? Yes or no? You try sending a mail, post, like one that was sent to me, that is almost 1 year ago. It went to Malli Amma's house. She sent it to me back. Swami, your letter has come here. It can go to somebody else. That has also happened. Especially if you live in apartment complexes. एक का दूसरे, दूसरे का तीसरे में पहुंच ही जाता है. In the field of karma, the phala of what I am doing cannot be snatched by any other. That truti will not happen even for once. That Bhagavan there sitting like, oops, I intended for this Sharma, that went to that Sharma. There are no such mistakes. Na iha abhikramanashaha. That the effort that you put, the result of it will never be snatched away from you. It will always build upon. Another aspect to understand. Now supposing this, Arjuna also asks and Bhagavan clarifies in a later chapter. What if in this life I have done sadhana, but I have not reached? I have to be born again in the human birth. What will happen to all the effort that I have put? Na iha abhikramanashaha. Your efforts, the result of it will not be snatched away from you. It will come back to you only. Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Vijayate. You will be born in that situation wherein you will start from where you have given up or where you have stopped, and the environment will be created conducive for the continuance of your sadhana. Your effort and the result of it cannot be snatched away from you. Na iha abhikramanashaha na pratyavayaha. In the field of karma kanda, we see these two things happening. That in karma yoga siddhanta, your guaranteed will not be snatched away from you. Now, before giving karma siddhanta, as Gurudev puts it in the commentary, this is the master planner Bhagavan Krishna's advertising techniques. He is very good with advertising self-promotion. That this Siddhanta, what are the benefits of it? What are the things that which you may have doubts in your mind that you are protected from or protected against? All of that he is enumerating. And he says, Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Severe amounts of insecurity, severe amounts of lack of clarity, all of these can be washed away. When you practice even an ounce of this Siddhanta, it will usher you tremendously up. Swalpamapyasya. By your own life and experiment, a segment of your life, try applying it. You will see how beneficial is it. Thereby, you can now extend applying it into entirety of your life. Swalpamapyasya. थोड़ा try करो. You will see the benefit of it. That is why Gurudev says, this is the advertising technique of Bhagavan Krishna. That he is appealing to that intellect of Arjuna, that you are being bogged down by all these different aspects of your imagination. Come out of it and see how beneficial when you work with your attitude corrected. And that attitude which you have to bring in is called this Karma Yoga Siddhanta. The principle of Karma Yoga. And the moment you say it as a principle, it does not depend upon your belief system. Gravity works. Do you agree? Gravity still works even if you disagree. Isn't it? That is why it is called a Siddhanta, a principle. It is not based on my agreement or my disagreement. Electricity gives shock. Do you agree? It will give you a shock if you agree. It will still give you a shock even if you don't agree. I don't believe it will give a shock. Aajao. What is that song? Aao pyare paas hamare, shock hum dilaye. But I don't agree. It doesn't matter whether you agree or not. That Siddhanta will apply. Karma Yoga is also such Siddhanta. And therefore I can boldly say that Hindu Sanatana Dharma is not a religion of faith. It's a religion of knowledge taking us towards truth. Because some book has said or some person has said, therefore you believe and start following it. That is not the claim of our Sanatana system. This is the Siddhanta. The Siddhanta is explained logically and it is shown how it works and impacts your life. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya. If you apply this Siddhanta even a little, you do the same karma, but with the attitude of Karma Yoga Siddhanta. Karma Yoga is not an act to be done. Karma Yoga is the correction of the attitude. Many of us misinterpret it and say, I am doing Karma Yoga. You cannot do Karma Yoga, you can only do karma. To guide that karma in the appropriate direction, you can change your attitude. That attitudinal change towards the higher is called Karma Yoga Siddhanta. Am I getting across a very important point? Swalpamapyasya, even if you apply it a little, it will take you long ways. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Those who understand this and those who don't understand it, what is the impact? A clear cut picture given. जो ये समझते हैं और करते हैं और जो ये नहीं समझते और नहीं कर पाते, what is the effect? So he says in the 41st sloka, vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana बहुशाखा ह्यनन्ताश्च बुद्धयो व्यवसायिनाम्. व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धि, अव्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धि. There are two kinds of mindsets. Cultured and uncultured. Vyavasayatmika, that buddhi which has been tamed, tuned to a single pointed effort. Avyavasayatmika, the uncultured, how is it? Bahushakhaha, scattered all over the place. For many of us, therefore I think, sorry, my mind just jumped into a different topic. See, this Siddhanta has to be taught right from young age. That is when the paripaka, the maturity of it, will benefit the child's growth. That by the time they are an adult, they are full-fledged, established in this knowledge and wisdom. When the child comes back from the school, they have loads of homework. Every subject has a homework. Then there are their own self-built attractions. Go out for play or the computer games or flicking through YouTube or Instagram. They'll say, I'm bored, I'm tired doing this, I need a break. They'll pull out the cell phone. The smarter the device has become, the dumber that we have become. Pick it up saying, I'll take 5-minute break. Before you realize that 5 minutes has become hours at end. So I asked a parent, I think 2 days ago or 3 days ago, why are you not continuing for this second chapter? I said, Swamiji, what to tell you? We have lots of homework to complete. I immediately understood what that Amma meant. The whole of summer was there. And what did we do? Ashkia. Enjoyed the summer. Tomorrow the school begins. The night before, you start searching where are the books. What is the homework? That where I have jotted down where the homework is, the diary is missing. I call up frenetically my friend, and my friend, because that fellow is my friend, then I was thinking of calling you. I am also looking for that diary where that homework is written. Completely scattered all over the place. Does it ever happen to you that in the morning you go out to make a cup of coffee in your kitchen? As you are cutting the milk packet, as the tea has to boil, you see that the plants that which you were thinking of watering yesterday are almost like on deathbed, feeling or overcome by your ayyo pavam for that plant. You stop this and say, quickly I will go water these plants. And as you go into the backyard trying to water, your attention is caught by the newspaper which you did not pick up in the morning. Inadvertently, when you started watering, the water fell on it, that became wet. As you went to pick that up, you took that in your hand and you saw that in your front porch, all the shoes and everything is lying here and there. You start sitting it. And suddenly somebody from home, from inside of the house, said, what is burning? And you run back. Scattered all over the place. Does it look familiar? Avyavasayatmika buddhi. Uncultured, untrained, indisciplined buddhi. Bahushakahi anantascha. Scattered in millions of possibilities. Vyavasayatmika. Those who are cultured. That is why one statement that is made about Bhagavan Sri Ramchandra ji. What is it? Okka mata, okka banam. If he has given a word, he would stick to it, to the word of it. If he has taken a sankalpa and picked his arrow, it should serve its purpose. Focused, disciplined. Every approach is in that ordained manner. Those that have trained their minds, trained their antakarana to such cultured discipline. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha gurunandana. They bring their antakarana to that one focal point to accomplish that which they have pledged to. They have taken sankalpa for. Avyavasayatmika, the uncultured, what do? Bahushaka hi anantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. Like Ramakrishna Paramahansa used to give this example that somebody wanted to dig a well. Long weekend, he said, instead of giving that job to somebody who is an expert at it, he said, I will dig my own well. He started digging. No sooner that he went to 2.5 feet, the roots of that big tree next to which he started digging, the roots were, the labyrinth of that roots was making it difficult to dig. He said, not here. Then he chooses another spot. Another 2-3 feet, there is a big stones. Then he shifts almost close to his compound wall. 2 feet and water starts seeping. Are you happy? Water is already coming. Then he also sees that it has a certain smell to it. Why? Outside of this compound wall, there is a nala. That water is seeping in. Is it chi? By the end of the day, he has about 7-8 holes. The entire backyard has become a holy land, filled with holes. If he had enough patience to dig in one spot, He may not have done 16 feet, he might have done maybe 10 feet, but worthy 10 feet. What do we do? The mind of ours is like a monkey. It wants to gather, it wants to capture as many things, as many beings, as many environments, so that it can get maximum joy. It's constantly busy gathering, like the squirrel. Wherever it finds food, it runs, gathers, hides. Forgets where it has hidden what. And when it starts feeling hungry, starts searching for food again. अपना भी यही हाल है. Gather and run through all different experiences. Avyavasayatmika. There is no discipline, there is no pattern, there is no rhythm to it. Now, what happens when there is no rhythm? Rhythm meaning absence of rhythm. We start living in the turf of conveniences. How is that field of convenience? So that is said here. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipaschitaha Vedavadarata partha Nanyadastiti vadinaha. The set of 3 shlokas is a complete thought. So repeat after me all the 3 shlokas. Kamatmanasvarga paraha Janma karma phala pradam Kriya vishesha bahulam Bhogaishwarya gatim prati Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam Taya pahrita chetasam Vyavasayatmika buddhi Samadhau na vidhiyate. Before I go into the shloka and the meaning, one small tiny correction. In the 43rd shloka when we were reading, Kamat manasvarga paraha Janma karma phala pradam. A little bit of Sanskritam. That in Sanskritam, the pavarga does not have fa. In Hindi, we may say fal. But in Sanskritam, it is not phala, it is phala. Pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. So when we chant here, it should be karma phala. Janma karma phala pradam. So that consciously recognize and chant it as pha and not fa. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaha. Those who appear wise. That statement itself is filled with so much of sarcasm. When somebody says, you are speaking like a wise man, what does it mean? That you are completely otherwise. Right? Avipaschitam, those who are otherwise, are speaking like as though wise. the way they justify their own conveniences, easy ways of life, is hilarious. It is detrimental, and yet they justify their conveniences. The entire life spark of life being is connected with the Dina and Ratri. Ahoratra. Ahaha, day. Ratra is night. With the sun rising, the system, the way biologically we are designed, is we need to wake up. And as the sun sets, what do they call this? Circadian cycle. Circadian cycle, right? So the body, circadian rhythm. So the body is in that rhythm. But then, what do we hear people saying? Oh, I am not a morning person. I am a night owl. Thank you for recognizing the fact. Owl को हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं? पक्का उल्लू के उल्लू ही होती. There is a natural rhythm of expression. We go contradicting that because we give in to lethargy, we give in to indiscipline, we give in to our conveniences, and then justify whatever we. Every New Year's Day, we take resolutions. The coming year, I am going to be watchful of my diet, disciplined with my exercise, spend healthy time with my sadhana. How many days does that resolution last? Your smiles are evident. Doesn't last long. And then we start justifying why our resolutions, it's okay not to be fulfilled. I tell you, people support this kind of avyavasayatmika situations. I'll tell you my own experience. Our cook, I don't eat in the morning. Supposing I land up in the kitchen, एक दिन के लिए कुछ नहीं होगा स्वामी जी, खा लीजिए. अरे जबरदस्ती है भाई. And when you are saying that enough, it is okay स्वामी जी, एक आधा extra. People around are also those that support that kind of convenience of life. Am I getting across? We ourselves are masters at justifying our own indisciplined, uncultured way of life. Avyavasayatmika, and we have flowery words of trying to justify. Yamimam pushpitam vacham. The recent movie that the children are imitating. In that imitation, we fit perfectly well. Each one of us has flowery language. Pushpitam vacham. And in that way, each one of us is a pushpa. And in convincing ourselves in those indisciplined ways of life, if I can continue the same analogy, we don't give up. We justify our own wrong methods with such convenient flowery words. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitah. Those who appear as the wise with their flowery language, justifying their own conveniences, avipaschitah, vedavadarataah partha nanyadastiti vadinah. It is like the devil quoting the scriptures. They have the audacity to quote scriptures. There was a youngster. He brought me a book of Vivekananda. In one passage somewhere, Vivekananda talks about he smoking from a hookah pot. And then he is not justifying. It is okay for me to smoke. Yay. Where are you comparing with what? To justify. It's like the devil quoting the scripture. Vedava daratah partha nanyadastiti vadinaha. The Vedic literature speaks of this only. Of how you are okay to justify your inconvenient ways of life and not a disciplined way of life. Nanyadastiti vadinaha. Kamatmanaha swargaparaha janma karma phalaprada. That if you do not entertain your own desires, fulfill your own desires, what is the difference between you and the Pashu? वो भी जीते हैं, तुम भी जीते हो. You are a human because of your passions. Recognize your passions, fulfill your passions, and revel in your passions. This is what this opportunity which has been given. Nanya pantha vidyate yanaya. There is no other way. This is how Bhagavan has created. Pushpitam vacham, very convincing language. Who has created this creation? Bhagavan. Who has created you and me? Bhagavan. Who has created the field of indulgences? Bhagavan. Then why are you stopping yourself from indulging? It is Bhagavan approved. Kya convenient language. Just because the tongue doesn't have a bone, you can twist and turn it to suit your own ways of life and justify it as the Vedic ordained. That this is the way, convenience is the way of life. Kamat manaha. If not this, swargaparaha. Once in a while there is that bout of doing something good. They make it an optional choice. Once in a while it is okay to do good. And they have also some funny logic. You have done this much of bad, you do this much of good, this good cancels that bad. Then where did you develop that logic? చాలా ఘోరమైన పనులు చేశాను, కొన్ని పుణ్యకర్మలు చేసేస్తే ఇది అది తుచ్ తుచ్. Many that go to Tirtha Yatras. What is the purpose? Bhagavan, I have done terrible things. I agree. In lieu of that, I am going to walk Mokala Metlu. Those big steps, I will walk all the way. One act of good is not going to change the rest of it. Doing good, being good is not an optional state of being that I do once a weekend or once a month. Therefore, our spirituality, our Siddhanta of Sanatana is not Jumme ke Jumme or Sunday ke Sunday. It is every single day. And on that, convenient statements. Swamiji, Hinduism is very confusing. Look at the other religions. They have one day, one book, one God. No confusion at all. The outside simplistic approach doesn't mean that the method is simple or the method is logical. And then interpretations. We have crores of gods. गिन के दिखाओ भैया. मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है पर बैठूंगा. गिन के दिखाओ. Crores of gods. We are told. How many crores of gods? कितने कोटि भगवान हैं? 31. Right? 31 crores of gods. Who told you that there are 31 crores of gods? Koti there means not crores. Koti there refers to variety, variations. 31 different kinds of gods. ऐसे बोल रहे. We are so confused. There are 31 crores of gods. And then there is also questions like, why does bad happen to only good people? Very frequently asked favorite question. I have done nothing wrong in my life. I have not even hurt an ant. Why is so much of wrong happening to me? Yes, you are the very incarnation of goodness. As if nothing wrong in thought, word or deed you have ever done. And therefore bad should not happen to you. They talk of Karma Yoga Siddhanta on one side and claim false claims and now justify that in a very flowery pattern. Kamatmanaha Svargaparaha Janma Karma Phalaprada Kriya Vishesha Bahulam Bhogaishwarya Gatin Prati. All that they are intended upon is to create a sensuous kind of life that they can indulge and enjoy and justify it. And because of this kind of indulgences that they have lived, conveniences that they have lived, where discipline is not a part of life, commitment is not a part of their life, what happens? They do not trust themselves in disciplining themselves. They end up being a failure in their own eyes. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kuru nandana. No, that is not this shloka. The next shloka it is. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhau na vidhiyate. Their minds loses trust in its own capacities and justifies about its own failures, thereby neither finding peace in life, balance in life, nor any contentment in their life. This is what happens to those that are avyavasayatmika. But whereas in the Karma Yoga Siddhanta, that Vyavasayatmika, cultured mind, cultured intellect is to be raised, which helps as the very strong backbone for the entire labyrinth of life to be built. Therefore, Arjuna, now listen to the Siddhanta of how to build oneself up. See how beautifully he brings the other side of the picture of convenience, and in contrast to that, how to build. That we will see tomorrow. I didn't even look at the watch. In the last 2 minutes, already people started packing their books and everything into their bags. That gave me enough sign. Okay, chalo, time ho gaya hoga. Yes, we will continue this tomorrow. Any announcements on that? ఇవాళ చెప్తారా రేపు చెప్తారా? ఓం సర్వే భవంతు సుఖినః, సర్వే సంతు నిరామయాః, సర్వే భద్రాణి పశ్యంతు, మా కశ్చిత్ దుఃఖభాగ్ భవేత్. అసతో మా సద్గమయ, తమసో మా జ్యోతిర్గమయ, మృత్యోర్మా అమృతంగమయ. ఓం పూర్ణమదః పూర్ణమిదం పూర్ణాత్ పూర్ణముదచ్యతే, పూర్ణస్య పూర్ణమాదాయ పూర్ణమేవావశిష్యతే. ఓం శాంతి శాంతి శాంతి. హరి ఓం. శ్రీ గురుభ్యో నమః. హరి ఓం. Before we wind up, one little request. Do you think what you are hearing is helpful? The Bhagavad Gita that which we are hearing, unfolding, is being helpful? Is it something which is approachable? Meaning understandable, doable, therefore approachable? Do you think it will benefit you personally? If you are convinced that it benefits you personally, can I request that when you come, you bring your best friend for their benefit? Very rarely we get the opportunity to organize such. And when such is being organized, the maximum that it can reach to, the maximum benefit. Therefore, tomorrow when you come, just like Hanumanji came with Surya Bhagavan under his arm, just so that the sun doesn't set. What do? Bring your friend along so that they can also benefit. Can you do that much? At least, can you try doing that much? वादा मत कीजिए, कोशिश जरूर कीजिए. वादे अक्सर टूट जाते हैं, कोशिशें कभी कभी कामयाब हो जाती हैं. So let us hope that this knowledge, this wisdom reaches to as many people. Hari Om.